Perfect. So guys, we are absolutely live on for this session. So welcome, and very good evening to everyone. Let me start by asking each one of you a very simple question. Do you want to build future ready buildings? And this works even if you are a builder, an institution, or a government body who is constructing any kind of a building. Works and you would get is a future ready building, my friend. Yes. Hi, I'm Ankur, and the topic for today's session is big dreams. Now, before I begin, I would really like to acknowledge each one of you for watching this session live, and all those of you who are going to watch this afterwards. This is going to be a powerful session, and I know you have a choice to just laze around on this lazy Saturday evening or Netflix and spend time with your family, but you're leaving all that on a side and spending your time right over here watching this session live. Thus, we both will make sure that you get the best value of your time and effort invested, my friend. And the top two takeaway from this session and this continuing series are: first, your ongoing and your forthcoming building projects, these structures will become absolutely future ready. Yes, and this works even in these times where everything is changing so dynamically. And the second top takeaway is you would start looking the way you build your buildings from absolutely a different paradigm. And just hold, because what I'm going to tell about the speaker who's there with me, you will certainly start believing it. I know it must be coming यार कि पैराडाइम चेंज हो जाएगा. हाँ, पैराडाइम देखने का बिल्कुल जिस तरीके से आप अपनी बिल्डिंग को बिल्ड कर रहे हैं, भले चाहे वो कोई भी बिल्डिंग हो, वो पूरा पैराडाइम चेंज हो जाएगा. Because I feel extremely honored, privileged to have a very close friend to me, and who is none other than Utssav. Utssav, it's a great honor to have you over here with me on this session called Big Dreams. It's such an intriguing name, and just I would take, guys, single minute, in fact, or a couple of minutes max, to just give a little briefing about background. Since we're going to spend 30 minutes together, it's a little background is must to know, because he's a legend in my eyes, and you would certainly start seeing him from a different paradigm once I get you the complete understanding of what he is. So Utssav is an author and a second generation architect, and he has been brought up in this culture. I mean, architecture innovation has been purely into his DNA. And after initial studies, initial years of studies in Delhi and London, he's been involved with a lot of major projects. He has a great experience of architectural projects, designing them, delivering them in London as well. He came back from there specifically, with the vision to change the industry with future and culture. Utssav specializes in the strategic innovation and has helped many businesses as an innovation catalyst, my friend. That is something, is really, really intriguing in him, guys, to take out from today's session. Maximum as much you can pull out of him. He's the man, who can teach you innovation like to any depth wherein you can't even think of. Believe me, he's an ocean of innovation. That's what I can say. With these, he's transformed the way the projects were working around in our country, and he's had a privilege to build, I mean, such innovative, great projects, just like, the largest meditation hall where 1 lakh people accommodate at one single time. Oh my God, that's something, Utssav, is truly unbelievable. 1 lakh people sitting in one, and that, I mean, how, I would certainly like to understand in future forthcoming series, that how you conceptualize that whole entire epitome of that building. That will be so great to know. And he's now on a mission to transform how the projects are conceptualized, which brings absolutely win for the every stakeholder and community. So, my friends, this is something, a very short briefing about Utssav, though I can speak for him like for hours, but believe me, what he's given to me in my life in respect of innovation. I mean, I being a product manufacturer, what he's guided me in terms of innovation. I think I would have never had that kind of an eye being a manufacturer. He used to, he always used to guide me, no, Uncle, start looking things from a different paradigm, from a different angle. And I truly respect him, for what he is, for what he's learned over these many years, from the angle of innovation. So all those of you who don't know about me, I'm Ankur, and I'm founder of Ecoste, which is into manufacturing of wood polymer composite products. And yes, I'm an entrepreneur, second generation entrepreneur, author, and an inventor of Nano video framework. And I'm on a mission to help business owners, entrepreneurs to get the power of expression and freedom in their business using the power of nano videos. How can they scale up their businesses? That's exactly what I'm on a mission at. And that's over to you, Utssav. Now, before I begin, I would just like to first ask you, I mean, keeping, future ready buildings, पहले मुझे सबसे पहले ये जाना है, which really excites me, that what excited you to, name it as Big Dreams, how, will it, how do you see this, and how, anyone achieves that, why did you name it Big Dreams? Let's start with you. Over to you, Utssav, now.
Thank you, Ankur, for the wonderful introduction. And it's an honor to be here and speaking to my audience here. So the big dream or big thing is something that I'm very passionate about. And architecture, fortunately, is a tool that can actually sculpt a lot of people's dream, whether it's residential or institutional or any kind of a building that we're making. Or there are dreams involved with the client, there are dreams involved with the end users. And one has the power to conceptualize that, to change that, and to give that paradigm, to give that space. So if you talk about institutional, it gives that space for the learning. It gives that experiential quality for the learning. And that is very profound. If we are able to do it right, it can transform the student's mind. It can transform the people who are living over there. You live in a good space or you have a good office. As entrepreneurs, we all have our offices, but we know how we are attached to our offices. We see our offices in a manner where we are able to inculcate that culture within our team. Now, what is that? That is basically power of design and power of architecture showing up. And once you start saying, seeing the dream coming in. So the dream is not just about the visual; it's about your vision towards your business, and that is when it's correctly shaped and put into the architecture. It changes things. It changes your business. It changes your people's life, and that is something I'm profoundly passionate about. And that is that's why we call it Big Dream.
Awesome. Phenomenal. I think, I at the start, I can say I'm getting goosebumps, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps, not to just exaggerate, my friends and Utssav, but the way you've told, that how, see guys, what I say for him, for Utssav is, where my mind stops working, from 100 miles ahead, he starts thinking, guys. So take as much as you can, he's truly an innovation expert, truly a catalyst, and the way he sees things is absolutely different, the way a normal human thinks. I think, he's got a different brain altogether, which is not, existent in Earth. That's exactly how I see Utssav, and it's truly, I think this definition, has intrigued me. Wow, it's so amazing. Wow. Awesome. And like, how do you see, happening it for people, I mean, for builders, for institutions, for all those who are building, their buildings? How do you see that happening for them?
See, it's actually quite logical. Let's start with what. So you use a lot about innovation, and this is something I teach in my innovation exercises. So let me just bring that element a little in this conversation. When we talk about innovation, or when we talk about dreams, it's a very the first few. What comes to their mind when talking about innovation? The answer is Apple, iCommerce. Those kind of images they come, and the same for building industry. In India, if you ask people, what do you mean? What do you think are big buildings? They will not probably refer to skyscrapers and Burj Al Arab and Burj Khalifa and those kind of images that they come into it. And what I'm trying to get into that is that these are very idea-centric approaches, and that is where my approach is, which I teach in my classes, is different. You got mainly two approaches. If one has to make a distinction. One is called the idea-centric approach, where we pick up an idea and we physically transform that idea into the physical realm. But that's where the problem also lies, because the ideas may not be actually in tune with your purpose and the culture over there in that space. And therefore, the second part, which is the holistic approach, that comes into play, and that is where I truly believe that big dreams lie. When you convert all these processes, all these phenomena of different stakeholders into a one steady fluid shot, right from the center, right from while project is being conceptualized. You talk about the end user, you talk about the end manager, you talk about all those things that the project needs to deliver, not now, not 5 years hence, but 20 years hence, 25 years hence, keeping in mind how the business is going to be, how the paradigm is going to be, how the shopping experience is going to be, for instance, how the housing experience is going to be in 25 years, what will be the people's needs be in the future, and inculcate that right now, right at the conceptualization of the project. You end up having a building which looks very different, and it feels very different, and it works very differently in the future. And that's where the dream starts happening, because then you're completely alienated to competition. Today we build something, and it changes with time, and so the new competition comes in, and therefore something we have built 5 years ago starts to feel old. But what if we can actually beat the competition in the long run? And that's where the key lies to creating big dreams.
Awesome. So I think that is something, which is very much related to, what the top takeaway I think for the audience is, that, the future ready buildings, that's what you profoundly, you call that, the future ready buildings. So what's the problem, and what's the need for building future ready buildings? I mean, let's understand the why, and then, get to the top takeaway. Make sense, Utssav?
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. So the future ready building, what does it really mean for us? What it truly essence it says is that we are not talking about how the building is going to look in the future, whether it's going to be the most beautiful building or not. Yes, of course, that's what we want. But we also want that the building should also enable us to work in the way that we want to work, even now and in the future. So if let's say the business changes or the user preferences changes, is the building capable of adapting itself and accommodating those kind of requirements over here? One of the most simple example to understand is about the AC, which I think in the COVID times have come up very well. All the buildings that were done centrally air conditioned in the past, with no such clear issue, because at that time the standards were saying so, are now facing an issue, because with the COVID virus, they can't fly in the AC. So would you call that as a future ready building?
No, absolutely no.
But it didn't seem a problem there. It didn't seem a problem at that time, which brings to the point that if you're really talking about from the lenses of problems, and which is the right way to actually approach the situation, how I understand is that if we plot all the problems into the short term and the long term, and the invisible to the visible, if this is the kind of bisection that if we draw in a flip chart format, let's look at back to the AC problem. So the AC problem was seen to be an invisible problem on the short term and also on the long term. But if you have a changing user preferences, for example, or changing, so something that people who have developed the properties in the 90s, they would face that suddenly the internet era came, and the computers, which were the CPU monitors and all those things. First, they were not part of the office decor, and then they came in. And then from that piece of boxes that were lying in our offices, it changed into flat screen LCDs, and that changed the scenario, that changed the planning. So something that was over here at conceptualized at this stage, if you talk about the invisible side of how the building industry changes, one often finds that the problems become visible on the long term over here. And this area is where all the problems are found. But interestingly, the solution to that is found over here.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
So if you're talking about the future ready buildings, this is where the innovation is required, the invisible problem, which is there in the short term. And once we innovate over here of understanding how that criteria will adapt either on this axis or on this axis, you see that's the way to increase the resilience in the building.
Wow. Oh my God. This is something, mind blowing. How did you invent all those things? Yeah. Where do all these things come to you from? First of all, I would certainly understand that after this session, but this is truly intriguing. In terms of to understand, visible and, what is visible, what is not visible. I mean, it is truly, and I think, this is something which, not just for any kind of building. I mean, not just for a government building or for, I mean, whether you're building a small house to any big project, I think this theory can be applied everywhere, right?
Yeah, so practically, yeah. So if people like in our profession, and engineers and architects, we are physical people. So we see the design, we see physical, and that's where the problem. This starts over here. We always focus on this visible quadrant. And if you really look at it, this is not an architectural theory. It's actually a business theory. It's actually a theory from an innovation standpoint. If you look at the iceberg example, which a lot of trainers and coaches take in their curriculum to explain the stuff.
Yeah.
20%, only 20% of the problem is visible. 80% problem is invisible. Only 20% needs we know. The rest of the 80% needs we don't know in the physical sense because they are emotional.
Yeah.
And so are the risks. 20% risk we know, but 80% are those risks which come in the future.
Oh, yes.
And it's not hard. It's not hard. We can pick up principles from different industries. The fortunate thing is that industries across the world have had some parts of these incorporated. So if we are there to learn, we can pick up a lot from financial assessments. We can pick up a lot from actuary services. We can pick up a lot from other allied disciplines and embed that in the building industry. And that is where I started my journey from. When I look at the problem, my journey actually started from understanding how can I make my buildings more resilient. I wanted to solve the problems. I wanted to solve the problem not because by experience I would learn and I would know, because by experience, okay, let's say I lived there for 150 years, and if I average, I say that I have to focus on one problem per year, so that's only 50 problems. Yeah. But I didn't want that kind of mechanism.
Oh.
So I wanted to understand something that will give me a forecast of the situation while I'm designing right now at this era, not by making mistakes. And that led me to creation of understanding of all this, from an innovation platform.
Oh, so that is what, Utssav, I think you have answered, my question, that which I was saying to ask you post the session on a call, that's exactly what you mean, that in everything, even I think in businesses also this theory works, right? That in every business also, 20% is visible and 80% the Pareto law being, always being prominent, that the 80% is still there, which lies in that invisible. And that's exactly what you mean. And I think it applies even in businesses also. And all the business owners, who are watching this, you can definitely take a benefit of this. And yes, if you are a builder, you're building any kind of a building, then definitely, yes, you cannot afford to, miss this principle, of 80-20, of how Utssav has explained it, that the 80% problems are absolutely invisible, and forecasting them in the short term, and that too, making the building more resilient in the future, is something, what he's trying to, make, and that's what exactly he's on a mission. Utssav, have I explained it a little okay, or no, it was not?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I tend to get into the details. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to keep up with the regular thing, but yeah, you summed it right. It's all about understanding what the future lies, and that's what the big dream is about. The dreams are not in the current; dreams are in the future, and that they need to be big. And that's where the whole topic of this talk comes into the play.
Wow. So that's exactly, what Utssav is trying to say for you, that you have big dreams, right? And if you have big dreams, type big dreams in the comment box so that we understand, we can feel your, the energy of your dreams. And, the whole purpose of designing this, this series of talks, is only and only, between me and Utssav, that we really want to serve, this building industry, because there is a lot of potential, and the way the things, are being seen, from a paradigm. Once that paradigm changes, the way Utssav is, just sharing his, entire experience, the golden nuggets, what he's sharing, within just 5 minutes, he has just discussed, a couple of theories, and certainly the more and more deeper, we would try to go within him, he would certainly bring out more and more nuggets of golden wisdom for each one of you, and definitely they will help each one of you, who's watching this session, to build a more resilient building. So your building would certainly be future ready. They would be more resilient, and it would cater to all the forthcoming problems which you don't know about, even you don't know, and which you face in problem. You're going to see them in short run using the paradigm, what he is going to discuss definitely now and in further talks. I mean, seriously, Utsav, it feels super immense value to me. I mean, if I am not building any building, if I can feel the energy and the, the importance of what you're trying to do, in the amount of, passion you have for this mission, I'm damn certain that once it propagates, and it gets, it'll definitely propel every person who's building any kind of massive buildings, skyscrapers, or let it be a small structure. It's going to help them a lot. It's going to help them a lot. That's all what I can say, Utsav.
If we are able to inculcate this will actually become a part of being the greater good. We will not have, when we drive down the streets, it will feel like as if it's a different world altogether. When we live inside those apartments, those spaces, when we go to those kind of schools, it will really try to bring that change in the being of the person. And I've seen that. Fortunately, some of my projects have been delivered that way, which bring that change. So I'm very excited to spread this like a wildfire. It's something that will be very good for a greater good.
Wow, and it's so amazing. I mean, Utsav, I have so many things popping in my head to share. It's something like, there are two things, called doing. There's some things which you learn at doing level, but there's some things which you learn at being level. That's exactly what you meant, right? I mean, ये being level पे एक बार जब चीज आ जाएगी, हमारी building material की industry के अंदर, so the consumers who would, buy their flats, buy, the offices, when they will experience these kind of spaces, they will have a super awesome world-class experience. That's exactly what you mean, Utsav?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Is the experience we're talking about, the end user, how he interacts with the building, with the spaces, and what experience he has.
Wow, this is truly amazing, Utsav. And what I'm learning is that means, big dreams, what you are saying is not just for the builder, or for the institution, or for the government body, but it's not the big dreams. I mean, for you, big dreams, that means it's not just a very small, a small tip of a ball. I think it's a whole ball. What I can see, that it's not just for them, but it's for even their customers. Big dreams of their customers.
Absolutely. The dream has to, so whenever you make something, whether it's an office, for example, because it's relatable, like this example here, it's not just, so if you talk about the stakeholders in an office, you have the owner, you have the business, but in the end, you have the users or the visitors.
Yeah.
So your staff is a stakeholder, your visitors are a stakeholder. Now, what is the purpose of the office? The purpose of the office is to deliver efficient work ecosystem. What are those components? And when we start driving those components in a logical manner, we would know what we want of the architecture. We would know what we want the architecture to do for them, for the business. And it goes the same methodology for whether you're building a hospital, whether you're building an institution, whether you're building a sort of a residential complex. There's always certain criteria. There are always users, and it is that end user that needs to feel the experience. And once that happens, that's where the dreams are. That's where the dreams are in the end experienced.
Mind blowing. I think this is something, it's a truly phenomenal. I mean, to understand, that how have you conceptualized this idea of having big dreams, as the name of the talk. It's truly, making sense to me. And earlier, when Utssav, told me, that the name is going to be Big Dreams, I was like, big dreams? I mean, big dreams is not anywhere related to, building material. I mean, it should be, big buildings. Why are you naming it as big dreams, right? So that's exactly, what my first question to you was. But now I'm understanding, when I'm going in depth, I'm understanding the soul of what your whole concept is. I'm understanding the mission, what you on. This is truly phenomenal. So that is what I can say.
It's in the invisible.
It's in the invisible. That's exactly, what you are saying. And what tips you would give to Utssav, because I don't want to dive into the second paradigm, because I think I'm loving so much the first paradigm only, the of future ready buildings, that I want to expand it a little more. Is that okay with you? I mean,
Yeah,
and
let's go
definitely,
for it.
the next time when we meet together, because it's going to be regular interaction. So next week when we meet, we bring for our audience, that how can they have a different a different paradigm, what you told. So I think, the future ready building in itself, is a very big concept. So that's what I can foresee, which I wasn't able to foresee before, getting onto the talk. But now, since I'm loving it, I'm just loving it, and I'm damn certain that all the audiences also, would be getting massive value. Guys, if you're getting value, do type massive value, so that we understand that what kind of value, are we able to deliver to you. And yes, Utsav, now over to you. I want to understand more about, I mean, with more examples, if you could just explain the future ready buildings. How can one builder make future ready buildings? What kind of, I want to go more deeper, into this, and I'm just loving it.
So, yeah, as a starting point to any of the buildings, I would actually, what we do is we do a 3-step process. First is called the ecosystem mapping. That is where I think the most amount of time should be given. So, a lot of people, when they come up with the building program, we tend to ask them question why, and why do we need this? Why do you need that? What do you need this from? So again, we come back to the office example. If when people, if they say that we want X number of meeting rooms, I would ask them, why do you need X number of meeting rooms? So there has to be some kind of a mathematics that justifies that X number of meeting rooms being over there. So asking the question why, what you need, is really the first step for the future ready building. Why are you doing something that is there? Why are you creating flats? Why are you creating, what kind of flats are being created is part of the second thing. But if you're creating the flats for for a regular nuclear family, and you intend them to be staying here for a long time, you need to understand their ecosystem. You need to understand what they need. They will have kids. They will grow. The kids will grow. They will have parents who will grow old. So those kind of ultra personalizations that starts to emerge out of those asking those why. So this is actually a very wide question, and it will be very sectorially dependent. But the main thing is about also, which a lot of people miss, is the vision. If you're talking about, and this is especially true for the institutional section, if they want to build something, it makes no sense to copy the one which has already been made. So what is your vision? Where is your personality comes in? Where is your business USP that is there, that needs to reflect in the architecture? That is an integral part of being the future ready building. Because in the end, it's not just about the future. It's the future for you. So your personal signature, your personality has to reflect in the design, and the business, that business USP has to reflect in the design. And if you really ask me, if in a nutshell, if I say that what is the common string between all my projects, I think this is what the common string is. That I have been able to, inquire enough before the project about the client and about what they stand for, that message gets translated in my projects, and that is what makes their projects unique. So and if you translate that your own personality into the project, nobody can copy it. That future is there for you. How you want to serve the clients is there for you. Nobody can copy it, and that is what the future building is. If I'm able to, you've been to my office, and the way I want to serve my clients, that's future for me. That's future for my clients, and that is being the future ready being. Is not a little things here and there. Yes, tomorrow computers will come in, your whiteboard display will come in. Those are all the incorporations that we do at a smaller level, but at a higher level, where we set the foundations right, that's where the whole game lies. Getting the foundations right, I would say. Make sense?
Yeah, it is making too much of sense, and it is definitely making too much of sense to me. And I'm just intrigued, that generally, what I personally feel, that it's great, you being an architect and you sharing everything so transparently right on board for everyone. I'm damn certain that a lot of even architects also would start seeing from a different angle, and they would also learn a lot. And definitely all the builders who's building any kind of an institution or any government body building or any kind of a structure, they would certainly get a lot of benefit from this just by understanding this, that what she told, I mean, as a business owner personally, I mean, I'm not at all into building, industry in terms of, not at all a builder and who's building any building, but yes, what I understand is, that as a hardcore businessman is that uh, asking the right question is very important. That's what I understood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I learned from one of my trainers almost like 4 years back was the applying the Japanese technique, Utsav, which I would love to share with you in audience. He taught me, and it was very nice, and it really works well it has worked super awesomely, for my business in every area, in every domain of my life, and that is asking 5 times why. You go why, before why, and then another why, and then another why, another why. And when you ask
That's
5 times, why, it's a Japanese technique called 5 why. So definitely it helps you a lot. So for example, if the production stops, so why did the production stop? Okay, so the generator stopped. Okay, why did the generator stop? So it was because of the battery. Okay, what was there in the battery? Battery was, this terminal. Okay, why the terminal, got a problem? Because it was not being properly checked, and it was not there in the check sheets. And the next time you make the check sheets, you know that okay, check sheets are the root cause for lot many things. So I think that's exactly it just reminded me, it struck me what he taught me 4 5 years back, and it has worked for me in my business a lot. And I feel that this principle of what you telling, that asking an architect, asking the client a lot of intriguing right questions would certainly make the building a future ready building. That's exactly what you meant, Utsav.
Yeah, so we have an added version to this. I don't know if it came from this Japanese technique, but we do 5 Ws and 1 H. So in
Oh,
the end,
wow.
we ask 5 Ys, and then we say how. So in this case,
Ah,
house is usually meant for, how will this thing make a difference to your, or how it needs to happen so that what you're trying to achieve gets achieved. So figuring out the matrix to the bullseye to attack. That's after understanding the 5 Ys, we ask
right.
how, and that's when we get it.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, I told you, he starts thinking, where I stop, and that 200 miles ahead, he starts thinking. So guys, thank you so much, Utsav. I think it's 5:31, and I think I would keep going on and on and on, though this talk is for 30 minutes. We've designed it, Utsav has designed it specifically for 30 minutes to keep it very short and crisp for each one of you. And I'm damn certain that you must have taken a lot of golden nuggets, a lot of drawings, what he draws as an architect, they are masters for drawing. Everything, I think they could draw. Even if they want to have water, they could draw it. I mean, everything works out in drawing for them. So I'm truly grateful, Utsav, to have you on board with me, and for all the audiences. And certainly it was truly an amazing, lovely experience interacting with you and understanding the mission of why big dreams are important for every person who's building, not just for them but for even their customer. And this was truly heart touching to me, and your mission something which really intrigued me also. And I'm certain that audiences must have loved the value which you've delivered. And I just pray that you keep doing the good job, and keep building such massive structures, great structures which are future ready. Keep sharing these golden nuggets with a lot of people, and this builds an ecosystem across our country, because our country really needs this kind of innovation across, so that you can actually build a future ready building. So when we meet next time, we would certainly be there to understand the second takeaway, which would be how, when you build your building, you have a different paradigm altogether, whether it's on the start stage or it's on the completion stage. You build for the forthcoming building which you're planning to build, it's going to be 100% must attend session for each one of you. And I'm certain that Utsav is going to bring more and more golden nuggets. Guys, he's the man of golden nuggets. Just keep coming every time, just keep taking, because every time he's going to share something new. Thank you, Utsav, once again. Thank you, audiences, for watching this session live, and who's going to watch it afterwards. Thank you so much. Stay safe, have a safe weekend. Bye, and take care. Bye, Utsav.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ankur.
so much.
It was a
Bye.
pleasure.